Translated material, all freely available and supported by voluntary donations, is having a good effect in the field.
As for me, I have appreciated it. It will help me not only in the ministry, but also in personal study. I am eager to start reading it from cover to cover.
This Bible will help me in my personal study, and it will help me in the ministry, because I will use it with full confidence, knowing that anywhere I read, it has been accurately translated. That made me really happy.
It will be a pleasure to read it because it is easy to understand. We used to read other versions which used archaic words that were difficult, even though they were in our own language. But having this Bible well translated, I think that will help us to apply what we learn in order for us to be closer to Jehovah than ever. Most Rwandese do not know foreign languages, and they only speak Kinyarwanda. When they receive publications in their language, their interest in the good news increases.
In the recent past, other publication releases in Rwanda have touched our brothers deeply.
At the release of the new songbook, we sang that song about the resurrection, and at the end of it, brothers were crying. Guess why? Because they understood what they were singing. Why don't they cry when they sing in French? They can understand the words of the songs, but in a foreign language, it is difficult for the message to touch the emotions in our heart. But your mother tongue speaks to the heart and arouses the emotions. The availability of the songbook in Kinyarwanda, it was the happiest moment at Bethel. The sisters were so happy, they were joining their voices, and they sang in loud voices. Because we were working in offices, we wondered what was happening. But those sisters told us, "You translators, we are very grateful because of your work. It touched my heart very much."
For more than a century, Jehovah's Witnesses have made a priority of translating Bible truth. At the making of this video, we translate in over 600 languages, with more being added regularly. No group anywhere even attempts such a task. The Watchtower magazine is produced in over 200 languages, and it is the only journal that is published regularly in some 50 of those languages. In scores of other languages, Jehovah's Witnesses produce the only literature that is readily and freely available to the people. Typically, the publisher growth in these languages is much higher than the worldwide average. In recent years, more emphasis has been given toward the effort to translate the Bible. In 2005, the New World Translation was available in whole or in part in 56 languages. But in just 7 years, by 2012, the number of languages more than doubled to 117. So what if we meet someone in our ministry who speaks another language?
什么事呢？你好，我叫
Perhaps we can learn just a few words or a simple presentation in that language. And we can always make full use of the tools available.
They first of all need to ascertain, could they use publications such as a good news booklet, and ascertain what language, and then help the person by letting them read the message that's been printed there. In addition to that, we encourage them to go onto the website. Many of these languages already have files there that can be printed and downloaded, and perhaps they could be passed immediately onto the person. It's always interesting to see the look of surprise on someone's face when maybe the next day or even that same day the publisher comes back and here they have a printout of something in their own language.
By filling out the Please Follow Up form for foreign language speaking people that you meet, a visit can be arranged by someone who speaks their language. These referrals are coordinated by the local branches.
Good morning. Good morning. I had a really nice call. Will you send that in for me?
I certainly will.
Great.
Taking it a step further, some publishers have embarked on learning a new language by enrolling in classes organized by individual branches. This group of publishers is learning Chinese in order to speak to a growing local population where they live in New Jersey, USA.
It's helping to give me the confidence to practice more in the field. Instead of going right to my English and apologizing that I don't know much Chinese, it's forcing me to practice what we're learning in the class in the field and actually use it with Chinese people.
One of the language class principles is to use the course material as soon as possible in the field. Oftentimes, the students will see fast results.
Immediately, the very first door I went to in Chinese, the people were so impressed that we were trying to learn Chinese that they invited us right in.
People come to the meeting just from giving them an invitation. They're so excited, and they just want to know what the truth is about, and it's nice to see that excitement. Well, they want to know, why are you learning Chinese? Why would you attempt to learn such a difficult language? And so when we tell them, it's because we want to teach the Bible, and we want people to know the good things in the Bible. They're very interested.
When you extend yourself out there, and then you see the positive response, just being able to extend yourself and see the rewards is just wonderful.
For some, knowing a language reasonably well can open up opportunities for expanded service. A number of publishers have chosen to serve in foreign language fields by moving to those territories in other countries. Ecuador has long benefited from the preaching work carried on by those willing to serve in areas of greater need.
Presently, we have about 600 foreigners from 23 different countries that are here. We have people from all walks of life and all ages, even some that come down here with small children. Some are young and use their energy to go out to rough territory. They're walking, they're biking, they're using local transportation. Others with more years, they're using the maturity to stabilize the congregations, and all have been a significant factor in the steady growth here in Ecuador.
We wanted to be somewhere where the ministry was productive, where people really would respond when we spoke to them. So that was one thing. The other thing is simply the time. We wanted to spend more time in the service, and because of the economy, we had to work a lot. And so when we changed to a different economy, we were able to have more time for the ministry.
Because we were in a nice congregation, but it was very difficult to find a lot of studies. And we had 7 elders at that time. And when you hear congregations here where they have 1 elder, 0 elders, and where you can make a greater contribution, you say, wow, this is it, this is what we want to do.
The field service in these lands will likely be much more productive than in the more affluent countries they have left behind.
The ministry, before I didn't have any studies, I would never dream of having to study in. But now I have return visits, I have studies, and it's a lot easier.
Well, people answer the doors a lot, they want to study, they progress, and people get baptized, maybe even in the same year that they start studying.
Just to give you an example of the blessing that one can have, there was a brother with his wife here for a span of 10 years. During those 10 years, he saw the number of congregations in his city go from 2 to 10, and he helped start 5 of those new congregations. And during those 10 years, he and his wife had, on the average, 2 people that they brought to baptism each year.
Families with children see amazing benefits, and not just in the ministry.
One reason we did this is to be able to focus on our children, raising them in the truth. And so we felt like we didn't really have much time to waste, and so we got busy trying to put ourselves in this situation so that we could focus on our children and help them to grow up and be strong in the truth.
The big thing is that we have time as a family. We spend more time in the ministry, more time just relaxing together. And so that's really good. And we've seen Drew progress significantly since we've arrived. She had spiritual goals before, but now she talks about she wants to go to Bethel, she wants to be a missionary, and she was just baptized a few months ago. So she's really took a hold of the truth. So that's been the biggest thing for us, is to see her progress.
Well, just experiencing everything here, all the Bible studies, and Mom and Dad all had nice studies, and it's really nice.
We're not focused on material pursuits, and obviously, under God's kingdom, we're not going to be focused on a career. We're going to be focused on doing just what Jehovah tells us to do. We're happy. We're united as a family. We feel like we have a real purpose.
However, there are some challenges.
There's going to be a lot more work because that's why it's called a greater need. And there's a lot more work with the congregations, a lot more work with the brothers, and a lot more work even in the field service. And you walk a lot, sometimes for miles, and we're physically tired. But there's just so much more joy because you know you're using your life the way you're supposed to be using it, the way it was meant to be used, and it's just a better way of life overall.
It doesn't feel like we left something behind. This is where we want to be.
The wonderful thing about translation work is that it proves Jehovah's love for each individual. Language divides people, and obviously since the time of the Tower of Babel, we've seen a lot of divisions earthwide. And yet the pure language of Bible truth is something that unites God's people. Jehovah's Witnesses stand out as absolutely different from any other organization because here we have all these volunteer workers that are translating, putting the message into other languages so that we have the same logic, the same goal, and all worship the same God, Jehovah.